Thanks, Chris. One of the things we like to do through these sessions is talk about, from a Exo perspective, not just what's going on in terms of updates, but some of the industry changes that are potentially going to impact some of us or a number of us. Some of you may currently be subject to TPAR, or Taxable Payments Reporting System. Taxable Payments Reporting System is essentially a program by which you need to actually report payments made to subcontractors. It's essentially a way of the ATO having some validation in terms of what payments are being made to subcontractors. Of course, they're then checking the other side of the transaction, making sure that things are being reported appropriately. At the moment, the Taxable Payments Reporting System has been really only applicable within the building and construction services industries. And essentially, as a part of that program, you submit an annual TPAR report, or Taxable Payments Annual Report, which identifies all of the payments that have been made to subcontractors. In essence, there is a new recommendation to expand that program. The Black Economy Task Force, which is a fantastic name for a division, has put some extensions to this. We've added the courier and cleaning industries, where the first TPAR is due for reporting back in the 28th of August 2019. And also they're adding road investigation, surveillance, and IT services organisations to also be subject to those same reporting requirements. So if you're operating in those instances, in those industries and utilising subcontractors, you should be looking at what you need to do in terms of those additional reporting requirements, talking to your accountants or your internal finance team and working that through. In terms of Exo support, TPAR has been supported through the standard business reporting module in Exo. So TPAR reports can be submitted electronically in Exo if you're using a version later than 2018.1. And there is some more information available on the ATO website as well. E-invoicing is another relatively new initiative that's starting to take significant ground. Some of you may well be aware of this. For some of you, this may be a new thing that you may not have heard about. In essence, e-invoicing is a program that's been jointly announced by the Australian and New Zealand governments. And it's essentially a government-sponsored initiative to just encourage how we remove waste and inefficiencies throughout our business. They're estimating a $30 billion reduction in transaction costs over 10 years. In essence, we've adopted already a standardised framework for electronic invoicing called PEOPL, or the Pan-European Public Procurement Online Framework. This framework's already used in a number of countries and a number of different jurisdictions. So while there are some Australian and New Zealand variations to that, there's certainly an expectation that that might lead to an environment where e-invoicing is supported with your international suppliers as well. Of course, to really make this work, we need the support of all the software companies that your suppliers and customers use. This is about AR people, and AR people essentially getting rid of this emailing, printing, manual data entry of invoice transactions, and for any business-to-business type transaction, having these flow automatically. MYOB are hard at work working with the ATO and relevant departments in New Zealand in terms of how they adopt this PEOPL framework for e-invoicing within all of their respective products. Now, you might actually think that this will take quite a long time, this initiative. That said, I think if we look at STP in New Zealand, payday reporting, those initiatives came to market quite quickly. And now we've actually got some common frameworks and some plumbing that's in place that can be reused for some of this e-invoicing initiative as well. The ATO has been established as the Australian PEOPL Authority, and so the ATO will be guiding that program. Now, they've already announced quite a big announcement on the 8th of November 2019, where there's significant impetus for those of us that are already dealing with government departments to actually get involved in providing e-invoicing transactions as soon as possible. You'll see on this slide, they've announced that from the 1st of January 2020, any agencies that are capable of receiving e-invoices will pay e-invoices up to $1 million of value within 7 days, or pay interest on late payments. So it's really about trying to provide some assurances about increasing cash flow for suppliers within the government channel. And so we'll certainly see that start to take strides, I think, sooner than we might expect. In New Zealand, the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment has become their local people authority. And of course, they've actually made an announcement as well that as of the 19th of December, the first e-invoicing transactions actually flowed within a private organisation. So it's starting to happen. There are some leaders that are starting to do these transactions already. And I think we'll find that that will come to market a lot sooner than we perhaps might expect. Of course, support for e-invoicing will require an update to your version of MYOB Exo. So we'll expect in late 2020, 2021, somewhere around that sort of time frame, a version of Exo will come out supporting that e-invoicing framework and give us the ability to provide that integration with our suppliers and with our customers. In terms of MYOB Exo upgrades, we like to encourage our clients, particularly in this climate of increasing cybersecurity concerns, to stay up to date on your version of Exo. In terms of why, of course, every version of Exo introduces new features, new enhancements, and increased functionality. There's a real opportunity for us to make sure that we're adopting newer versions of Exo and getting the benefits that we're paying for as a part of our the annual maintenance that we pay. Of course, upgrades are also about ensuring that we have ongoing and improved compatibility with versions of Microsoft Office and our Microsoft Windows server and client operating systems. You'd be surprised the number of calls that we get on a Monday morning where a client's IT team have done an upgrade to Office 365, and then all of a sudden they find out they have a problem with Exo sending out invoices. They're running a version of Exo that's maybe 5 or 6 years old, haven't done an upgrade. And the main thing is they haven't had that consultation process to ensure that their IT infrastructure is adequately maintained and versions considered with the version of Exo that you're running. We also, of course, recognize that there are bugs in every piece of software, and there's bug fixes that come out in each successive version of Exo. And of course, gradually we decrease to that point where there's no bugs, perhaps one day as tools become better. Of course, it's also about increasing the effectiveness of staff training. You'd be surprised the number of organizations where we implement Exo and we train Paul on how to use certain features within Exo, and then Paul leaves 6 months later, and Paul trains Jane, and then Jane leaves a year and a half later, and Jane trains Grant, and you have this degradation in terms of knowledge and skills within the organization. And often you can actually see processes almost revert back to their most least efficient. So we do encourage ongoing regular staff training with new people within your organization. We offer Head Start training both in classroom, and we've moved quite a number of our Head Start training modules online, so you can do it from your own work environment or at home, depending on what suits your team. Of course, when we do training, we're doing training on the most recent versions of Exo, and we know that there's nothing more frustrating than training a staff member on how to use a particular function. They go back to the office only to find that that's not available in the version of Exo that they're running at work. So we do encourage it from that perspective. Of course, it's also about ensuring ongoing MYOB support. MYOB have a rolling 2-year support window for versions of Exo that they release. So you see that 2018.1, which was released on the 16th of February 2018, its support end date was the 16th of February 2020. So the oldest currently supported version is 2018.2. Of course, Kilimanjaro and Enterprise support customers on a broad range of Exo versions, and we always ensure that we support clients no matter what version that they're running. But having ongoing MYOB support just provides all of us that assurance if there are any issues, of course. So there's a range of versions. To give you a little bit of an idea of the distribution, we currently have around 40% of clients running a version of Exo that's currently supported by MYOB. And there's a number of versions that are represented on that chart. You'll see that there are a chunk that are pre-2015.4. As of 2015.4, MYOB actually brought into place some telemetry type features that identified which version of Exo was being run any errors that were actually being reported by the application, providing in-application NPS surveys and some features like that. So as of 2015.4, we have a lot more information in terms of what versions customers are running. Of course, each release, we do see a significant number of new features. We see between 3 and 5 new releases each year. And of course, we've just come into the 2019 series and 2020.1, which actually got released this week into general availability. The 2019 series was essentially about a theme of security, stability, performance, and compatibility. It was really about consolidating the platform and the foundations that were in place, really ensuring that the question of application security and data security had been really addressed. So we've got a 2019.2 as it was really the end of that kind of theme. As of 2019.4, in essence, MYOB did a big retooling and we introduced this Tokyo update, which we talked about at the last user group. Of course, 2019.4 is a big foundational shift in terms of the development platform for MYOB, and that's about increasing the efficiency of their team in terms of developer tools, a more modern framework that gives them the ability to actually take their development and productivity up a significant step. With the 2020 series of releases, as you'll have seen from Terry Liu's presentation, it's really about a focus of user experience and usability. The first phase of user interface changes have been rolled out in 2020.1, really focusing on the core Exo finance application, so exonet.exe. There have been some of those changes that have been as a result of inheritance, also ended up within the CRM application. But they're going to be gradually rolling out that whole new user interface look and feel change across job costing, CRM, subscriptions, accountant's assistant, all the other modules. Of course, that's going to take a period of time. So also 2020.1, 2020.2, 2020.3, for example, continuing with that rollout of this, I suppose, evolutionary change to just improve the look and feel overall. From there, we actually expect a series of usability changes. We've gone through security, stability, compatibility, a refresh to the look and feel, and then we're going to focus back on what are some feature improvements that we can take to really bring value to our organizations in terms of efficiencies. As a general rule, we encourage clients to plan to do an upgrade every 12 to 18 months. That kind of provides a bit of a happy medium between management of change within your organization, ensuring ongoing support within your IT environment as you roll out new laptops and new desktop environments, and staying on a supported release. So if you haven't had an upgrade in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, 2 years, we encourage you to consider that and get the advantages and the benefits that Exo keeps on inheriting as a result of the hard work that MYOB is doing. Of course, we are very focused on ensuring we have appropriate methodologies in place at Kilimanjaro and Enterprise to ensure a well-managed upgrade experience. For those clients that are on a newer version of Exo, there is an opportunity where you've got limited customizations or integrations to do more of a rapid deployment. But for a lot of us where we haven't done an upgrade in a period of time, we've got complex customizations and integrations. We have a formal methodology where we go through a very clear testing phase, user acceptance testing, training, and a very risk-averse approach to ensuring that you have the time and the resources to support that testing process before you implement that new version, and then start to introduce the features and the benefits that that new version gives you through a careful change management process in your organization.